to this as the biggest game of the year, and we're preparing that way, and our backs are against the wall, so we have to come out and fight like that.
And there you hear Ben Roethlisberger talking about the importance of preparation no matter who the opponent. Hello, everybody. I'm Justin LeBar, being joined by Pittsburgh Tribune Review Steeler writers Scott Brown, John Harris. Guys, good to see you again. Going into a very interesting game here against Kansas City at Kansas City. A quick history lesson real quick. Last time these two teams played was October 2006, so it's been a while. Steelers did win that one convincingly, though, 45-7. Overall, over the last 2 decades, the last 8 meetings these teams have had, 4-4, each team splitting it a piece. And, of course, one of those wins for Kansas City was an overtime win in the playoffs back in '93. Of course, that was a pretty good Joe Montana team. But, guys, Kansas City game, is this potentially is this a gut check for this team? I mean, coming off of a loss to Cincinnati, a team they normally beat, gut check time for this squad?
I mean, I think Coach Tomlin always talks about one game at a time. This is definitely their most important game. It's a game they should win, but it's a game they have to win. It's a game they have to come out and play well against a Kansas City team that has nothing really to play for.
And Scott, let's talk about special teams too. The special teams have been coming in the mix a lot. Stephon Logan, ironically, he hasn't had that big return yet. Hasn't had one for a touchdown, but he's averaging 25.5 yards per return, better than anybody really has in recent memory for the Steelers. What do you think first about Stephon Logan's performance?
I think it's been good enough. Certainly, he has not shown sort of the breakaway threat he did in the preseasons, playing against different guys now. He was playing against guys that were trying to make rosters as opposed to ones that are on the roster. But Mike Tomlin said earlier this week his play is quote-unquote above the line, and it's hard to argue with the coach in that regard. I think he's been fine.
It is hard to argue with the coach, and when we asked Stephon Logan himself what he thinks of his performance, he responded with this.
We figured out what we need to do. As a returner, you got to make some adjustments, and that's what I'm trying to do. We haven't. They always say we haven't had a returner here for a few years, but I want to come in and make that change. I want to be the returner. I want to continue to be the returner. I want to continue to do everything, work hard. Everything will work out for us. We've been working on it. Kickoff coverage and kickoff return, punt return, punt. Everything should work out for us, so we just got to take our time and keep working hard, and everything should work out.
Okay, so Logan not getting down on himself. He knows it's the NFL. He knows he has to be patient. And let's talk about, at this point now, guys, we're a little more than halfway through the season, players that you're happy about. Scott, I know you got one you're coming up, you're writing about, and that's Brett Keisel. Talk about Brett Keisel a little bit. He stood out to you.
He has, Justin, and even, I don't know if you call it funny or not, but some guys I've talked to, I went up to Tunch Ilkin and I said, hey, Tunch, I don't have the trained eye you do. Is Brett Keisel playing as well as I think? He said, absolutely. He said, this guy's getting a push in every play, which is good because in the 3-4 defense, you want your guys to your defense ends to sort of stand their ground and hold the line. And Keisel's not only doing that, but he's getting a good push as well, being disruptive, and he's really stepped up, which they've needed him to do with the loss of Aaron Smith for the season. So this guy, he's playing at a Pro Bowl level. Lamar Woodley said he should have gone last year. Said he thinks he should go this season. So if he keeps playing the way he does, he could be in that mix.
It is at a Pro Bowl level. Just in case you're wondering, tied 14th overall for defensive linemen in the NFL. Now, 14 may not seem like a prestigious number, but think about the amount of defensive linemen there are in the NFL. 14th overall for combined tackles, 20 tackles, 12 assists, making 32 total. He's also got 3 sacks, 1 forced fumble to his credit. Scott said Pro Bowl level. I asked Keisel, I said, well, your best friend Ben Roethlisberger playing at his best career year so far. How does that affect you? And this is what he responded with.
Absolutely. We definitely want to do some deep sea fishing sometime in Hawaii if they ever do the Pro Bowl back out there. So he's been out there before, and he challenged me to get out there with him.
So a trip to Hawaii is in the plans for Roethlisberger and Diesel Keisel. John, any player that you could say that really needs to get a little bit of credit for how they performed so far?
I can think of a couple on offense. I mean, Rashard Mendenhall, a guy who last year barely played because of injury, had to step up this year. Willie Parker got hurt. Just had some big games. He's still in the development process, but has shown flashes of brilliance at times. Rookie receiver Mike Wallace, I think, has made some very big plays for the team. They're going to him early in games, which shows a lot of confidence they have in him. Even in last week's game against Cincinnati, trying to go down the field with him. I mean, he's been a pleasant surprise so far, I think.
Guys, real quick, predictions for Kansas City. John, put you on the spot.
I don't think that's really on the spot. I mean, I see the Steelers winning the game. I'd be just totally shocked if they lost. I mean, it's a game they have to win. Right. It's tight in the AFC. I can't give you a score, 28-7.
28-7 for Mr. Harris. Scott Brown in Kansas City. What's it going to be?
First of all, you're talking to two guys who each predicted a Steelers blowout win last week against Cincinnati. And I might add, the gut check game is next week in Baltimore. But this is a classic trap game, and James Ferrier said it best. He said, hey, these are the games that are sometimes the toughest when they, on paper, look like they're the easiest. But I just think coming off that loss, they're going to want to right things and get some momentum going to Baltimore. I'm going to say Steelers 31, Kansas City 6.
You heard it here on TribLive.com. Of course, game 1 o'clock on Sunday in Kansas City. And both John Harris, Scott Brown will have all your coverage that can be found in the Pittsburgh Tribune Review at newsstands near you, or go to TribLive.com. That's going to do it for us here outside of the Steelers training facility on the south side. For Scott Brown, John Harris, I'm Justin LeBar.